left off yesterday was in our playground. We're getting ready to put some buttons on screen and test out whether or not our clicking is working. So let's hop into it. So I did realize one thing is that we named zombie, it used to be dash butt, and renamed it to underscore butt because that won't work with Ka with the asset loading. So let's get to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, actually it's going to be essentially this. So let's just grab that. Why not? It's going to be a lot quicker for us. We've got our image. I'll just go to that. And we have our button, like so. And there we go. So we have our button on our screen. We probably don't want it on the bottom layer. We want it on the top layer, so that's on top of everything. So the so here we have, where's top layer? Top layer is kind of ridiculous. Get layer by name. So oh no, I guess that's okay. So we can get layer by name. So we had layer names that were better than that. We do have pretty good layer names. Let's go to the injection settings and let's look up the, we do have top, middle, bottom. So let's come up with better names. We do have a UI layer, right? Let's just call it layer, UI for now. Public static inline var UI equals UI. I guess another one we'll have is like modal or dialogues. That's how things would pop up on top of things. And then we could probably do something like shade, so we can actually like block out the entire screen if we wanted to. We're going to keep that away for now. We've got dialogues, or modals, or whatever you want to call them. So here, we're going to cut out a couple of these, and we're going to do layer names. This is going to be bottom to top, so this is going to be dialogues. And this is going to be layer names. Oops. This is going to be UI. So now, here we're going to go grab our layer names UI. So we have that to go. And let's rename this to UI layer. And it sounds pretty good there. So now, let's build it. We should get a button that shows up. And in the meantime, we need to add an event. So we say button dot register pointer event. Pointer event type. It's going to be pointer one click. So it's going to be a left click, and then on left click, and we just need to grab that, and on left click, E pointer event. What we'll do is we'll say button name equals, actually we got the wrong image here. We want to do the zombie butt. That's going to come up as some madness. Can't really see what's going on there, so because there's a cat on top of it. So name, we'll call this the zombie one button. Alright, make sure we have this. And so we're going to say trace e.type target.name was clicked. Okay, and let's build her up. No errors. So something else I kind of did last night for fun is I kind of started to add a few more tests here and there. I'm getting like the point test is now tested. So let's bring our test coverage up a little bit better, a little bit over time. Makes me quite a bit happier. I want to make our test coverage closer to the 90s someday, but for now. So there's our button there, and see it stays on the UI layer. And then if we pull up our console, and we click over here, nothing happens. If we click here, we actually see zombie 1 button was clicked. So nothing going on. We click on this, click on this, click on this. We see that it was clicked. So now let's prove this one step further. Let's drop another button, and it's going to be the same thing, but we're going to call it zombie 2 button. And then we're going to set the button wide equal to image.height times 0.5. Now we're not going to register the event yet. And so what this should do, if it's correct, is if we click on this, it should actually block this. Actually, that may not happen because we are... Actually, that still might happen, and so we might need to fix that. We'll find out. If that's the case, we'll fix it. So here, moving around. So if we click this one back here, zombie bot was clicked, then it's not clicked, still not clicked. So yeah, it is blocking correctly. So this one is, see, it's not being clicked, and as we get in here, it's clicked. Perfect. So now let's register the event on left click, and now we'll get the other button, zombie 2 button, and then our UI is functional. Is it final version? Probably not. It'll get us started. It'll get us on our way. So let's get this built up. And there we go. So we have our guy on screen. If we click this one, say zombie 1 button was clicked, and then zombie 2 was clicked, and you see it'll sort of block until we get up a little bit there, and we're on the 1 button now. So UI is functional, so that's pretty good. So now we have buttons, and we can do things with these buttons. One thing I want to do is I want to take a look at our input, keyboard input listener, is I want to go to our tools actually. Battle keyboard tool is, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I want. So it goes to the human interaction. Okay, so what we can do is we can inject the unit interaction. We're just going to play with our playground a little bit. We're going to inject the hero interaction right here, because playground is supposed to have everything. That's just fine because it's our playground. Doesn't matter. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to do essentially what we have here in the keyboard, in the battle keyboard, is we're going to create a spell and cast it, just like so. We have our immutable spell, and we're going to cast the spell onto the screen. So let's run this, and now, there we go. We can control a bit more with our mouse. Probably not the long-term solution, but it'll be part of the UI to help people understand how the game works. But the idea of the game would be to use the hotkeys for any sort of more pro or hardcore player. But having mouse interaction is always nice for people when they're playing games. So now if I'm running around and I click this button, see I'm actually cast a spell now. And now we can keep running. And if we click this button, it'll cast a different, well, technically the same spell, but we could actually set it up where it casts a different spell. So our interaction is looking very good, and our UI is picking up the things that we need. So it's pretty good. I'm pretty excited about that. Let's move this down. We're going to just stick with this for now. We'll probably eventually build out a UI that'll actually manage all this for us, but I'll take out that, and we're going to commit it. So git status, git commit added working buttons, git push origin or Skylar master, and we have buttons that we can play with. So now, and then anytime we have anything on screen, we should be able to have a way to interact with our mouse. One thing I want to add is I want to add a way to pick up all events on our world layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to our game world layer manager. So I think we have our game world, yeah, so we have our layer manager, and right here we're going to, I think actually, let's look back at this, game world layer manager, we're adding the world, but I think game objects, dialogues, UI, debug. Let's see here. This is our viewport container. And game world layer manager, this is just layer manager. So here, under our layer manager, so this is our top level one, we're going to need the game world. I think it's actually going to be more like this. It's a more accurate representation. This is bottom to top. So we look at our injection settings, it goes UI, dialogues, debug, so we can actually add a debug layer if we wanted to. So I'm going to go back to our playground, and we're going to get our var game world display node container equals layer manager, get layer by name, layer names. Actually, I think we're going to actually use the UI layer manager, and we're going to get layer names. We're going to get the game world, and we're going to trace game world layer, and oops, make sure that this is not null. And then we're going to add an event to it. So here we have our thing. Let's see here. So there is a sprite, so we're good to go. Make sure our buttons still work. We should be able to so that's cool, so it doesn't actually do more than it actually needs, so it's still looking good there. So that came out of nowhere. So we have our game world layer. So we say game world layer register pointer event pointer event type, and say mouse click, pointer one click on game world clicked. Okay. Let's go down here to PRF game world click e pointer event. So now trace clicked the game world. Now we can manage the game world separately. And if this is everything's correct, which it is not, because I just realized the game world does not have a width and height. So viewport container dot width equals, let's make sure here. Yes, it's not picking up the game world. So I'm going to do, for now, we're just going to do 800 by 600. And if everything's done as it seems to be working, if we click the buttons, they'll happen. If we click the world, we'll just get that registered event that we got here. So I'll show you how this is going to work here in a moment. So here we have our moving around, and it's not picking up the event that is. Okay. I think what we need to do is I think we need to set the viewport container mouse children equals false and mouse enabled is true. And if this doesn't work on this round, we're going to have to start digging in to see why the game world is not receiving the event. And there we go. So there we go. Clicking the game world, click the button. So let's make sure that that's correct. So if we click here, we're not getting the game world. Click over here. Interesting. So it looks like, no, the game world has moved. So the game world is static over here. Okay, so let's pop that here so we can see what's going on. Click over here, nothing, click over here, game world. So the game world is static right here. And so it looks like we need to look at our injection settings. And so our game objects are probably moving. Our layer name. So we've got game world. Why would the game world be moving? Or actually, why would the game world not be moving? So what we're going to do is we're going to create one more and call this interaction layer. Let's call this interaction. World interaction. So here, I'm going to create a new line. I'm going to call this our names world interaction, and cut this here, put that, put that here, and this will be our interaction. And now, world interaction, interaction layer. Alright, so hopefully that's the trick that we were going for. And so now what we're going to end up doing, we're going to end up taking this apart. And let's see here, we need to, so we have the comm mouse input source. This is going to go away. Technically, it's going to be passed down to the tool instead. So here, game world, bug, silver. So here, so now we can run around, and the game world is following us. We're always clicking in the game world, and so when we click here, we have our spell to cast. So that's exactly what we want. One thing I want to add, I believe this is our screen X and Y, so we can translate that. So that'll be fine. Let's click here. If we do, should do trace E, okay, we'll do E, screen X, comma, E, screen Y, and we actually have to do a build, not a cat out of the file. And we've got a UI, so this is kind of fun. So we can really start making this game feel more and more real every day. That's the goal. So there we go. It shows us where we are on the screen. So that'll be the edge. As we move around, you'll see that it always stays over here. You know, if we go back here, it'll still be in our lower numbers when we're walking around the screen. And we can't actually, yeah, so it's going to just keep casting there because that's where our button is. So this is pretty cool. I'm pretty pleased with this. That's how this is happening. So now what we need to do is set up the world interaction and combine this with our battle pointing tool. So now what we can do, I think I'm going to trim this out. In fact, I might just delete this just to have a clear slate. And we don't need call pointer event manager. We still need that. CalMouse input source. We don't need this anymore. So we're going to delete that. And I believe under input, we're going to delete this. We don't need any of that anymore. It's in our history anyways. So let's run a build. If we ever want it back, we can come back and get it. There we go. So we have our tests still passing. And what we'll need to do is we'll need to create a way to handle the different states of the mouse. And kind of how this would work is that if we click the screen, we can have it say pass through and actually pick a unit. But if we say let's just do, let's run a game real quick. Kind of give an example of I think we shut this down. Let's say that the kitty's eyeball is a place where we want to cast a spell there on his eye. Let's say we have to click this button first, so pretend to click, and then we have to move the cursor here and say I want to cast it there. And so that's a kind of a state change versus that if we just clicked our unit or clicked a unit on stage on the screen, and we'd get a different result. So that's the idea, that we kind of change the state of the interaction of the mouse. So let's start this up here. So we're going to say we'll call it we don't really have a use case yet because we actually can't build that yet. So I'm going to revisit that as we design more of our game. So I guess one of the things we want to design, let's do a couple things here. Let's take our playground. We're going to move these here to constants. I'm going to call this screen constants. Public static inline var screen width int equals 100. Why I'm not using caps is because this will actually be changed later. So what we're going to do is under here, we're going to do screen constants dot screen height minus that, and then the button x is equal to image dot width, and then we're going to put that here as well. So now the buttons will show up on the bottom of the screen. And we're probably going to do, actually this is wrong. Is it going to be that, and this is the width is going to be, oh yeah, that'll work. And it didn't move, so I wonder if it even built. Nope. Different settings. Oops. I hate when I do that. Injection settings, and this is going to be line 18, and 18. Oh, yeah. $921. 242. This makes better sense now. Input source. Current tool will be null. There we go. And it seems to be upset about assigned game input tool. So it actually needs a tool. So we're just going to do new class battle pointing tool. Implements pointer events, pointer input. What is this? Pointing input listener. I believe that's what it needs to be. Let's look over here to our. No, it just needs to be a keyboard tool. I'm sorry. Pointing tool. Which is probably a ton of stuff. Yep. And so this here, I think this is a getter. Get null. Getter name. There we go. So publics. Battle pointing tool. It's going to be input tools. There we go. Phantasimo. Let's get this guy built up, and then we should be able to pick up our events. So what's going to happen is we're going to end up taking this piece out, this interaction layer, and probably just signing it here, and then all the events will be passed down to the tools. So we're like, okay, so our buttons aren't here. So let's find out why. Screen height. No, put this backward. Probably do this for simplicity. Not be defining things. And there we go. Those are buttons. So the idea, I think, is when we click this, that'll be our casting of our spells. And then we probably got another set of buttons that'll be here or here, I think, and that'll be our selection. So what we're going to do is, one thing that we can do is we have our, I guess we can call this our default. Hopefully that changed our checking the settings. No, it did not. And what we need to do is think what we're going to do. I don't like the idea of having all these predefined here. And one thing we could do is we could set up a quick injection for our interaction layer, and then we can add events on them when we get activated. So we'll get activate, and then deactivate, because a lot of these are ignored. So there's two ways to think about it. Is, do we want to constantly keep adding events and managing the events, or are they automatic? We just pass them down through the assigned input tools. Yep, I think I see it. So let's take a look at our injection settings. We have our assigned game input tools. So the idea will be probably going to be up here someplace. We'll call it the game world interaction manager. And then here, sort of a top level thing, so not sure if we need anything yet. And then we've got the mouse game world. We'll just say like battle. Oops. Battle game world interaction manager. And this is going to extend base object. So just kind of playing around a little bit here and seeing this is how we want to do this. And it's going to be game world interaction manager. And we're going to attach, and what we can do is we can say var interaction container. It's going to be a getter and setter. Display node container. Okay. So now, let's get that open. On our injection settings, right after we map out our viewport, not actually, right here where we define our worlds, we're going to do our var interaction game world interaction manager battle game world interaction manager. I wonder if it has why we are not getting this. That is why. Okay, so inject object factory dot create instance battle game world interaction manager. Yeah, I think we don't need this interface. I'm going to say, actually we're going to cut that and put it here, because this guy definitely needs it. Get a setter, there we go, and injector map value game world interaction manager to is going to be the game world interaction manager, and then we're going to do game world interaction manager. I thought we did not publicize that. Okay, so interaction container will be our in fact, I wonder if we could just put it there. Just put it right there. So our interaction container is container. And so once that's placed, we can do some special things with it. So now, with our playground, we don't need this anymore. But we do want this. Here. And we're going to say here, we're going to check out the playground, just as we've always done. We sort of place it in the playground, play with it as we need to, and we're happy with it, we take it out. Kind of the idea of the playground. So here, we have the game world clicked, and then what we'll need to do, I think, one thing we're missing in our injection settings that aren't set yet are our input tools. So it's kind of a dependency that we can't resolve yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to just pull this back out. I'm going to go down here. And what we need is we're going to need our container. Our container is equal to our layer manager, get layer by name, layer names, going to be our interaction, world interaction, and then now we have our container to assign. And so in this case, we can up here inject game input tools. Inputs. There we go. So if everything is set up, let's see if we have any build errors. Okay, we do. We need to go here, make this is variable, and we've got this backward. In fact, we could probably do if test else and there we go. Game world still being clicked. Didn't fully check to see if our build succeeded. No. So there we go. There's line 250. It's saying that our container should be a cost bright. So we're going to say bar interaction layer display node container interaction layer. There we go. So getting everything extracted out of Playground now, so that's pretty good. And now we're going to get into our interaction manager. So this is something we're going to need to get tested because it could have some sort of STD. So we need to make sure it's fully tested. Definitely don't want any of our code to have some sort of diseases. Set interaction container. Looks like there's a problem with that. Send. So the trace interaction layer may not be part of the right layer manager. Layer manager looks like it should be okay. World interaction should give us a container and should assign it. So the only guess I have at the moment is, oh, that is why we need to set the value. It's not assigned yet. And so we need to do some server work here really soon. Not that anymore. We get our server doing more things. We've done a lot of UI work. Now we're going to start doing some server work, and here's some stuff I want to work on in there to make this a lot simpler. Okay, so here we are, and you see it's actually picking up the game world. Not that big of a surprise, and then our buttons. they have moved, so it does kind of show like they are picking up the right things. So click there and create a zombie. So that's looking good. Getting very pleased about this. So now we do haxlib run munit create. We're going to create the test for this, which is input dot battle game world action manager test. And that's going to be it for today, but tomorrow we're going to get into testing this and actually delegating it down to the tool. And so now, then we can actually have like a stateful pointer. So that's that for today. Let's get our status here, get add test. Let's make sure our tests are still passing. Get status, get commit, and say setting up for our world interaction. And we have one failed test, which is the one we just created. So battle game mode interaction test. Let's fix this. Mock and true and get push Skylar master get tag, or let's get our date, get tag 2016 08/24 at 8:42. Push Skylar. That. Perfect. That is it. Very lovely. That's it for today. Tomorrow we'll get into implementing this interaction manager. Until then, happy coding. See you then.